PvP tier list. Let's get it. And disclaimer, this is my personal opinion from my personal experience, not from any info or like whatnot otherwise from like CNC or nothing like that. It's just what I think. You can disagree, but please don't diss my mother for it. It's happened before. First character, ranked in God. You probably know this if you ever played PvP in this game. Nemesis. She's just God. I've already done like 2 videos on Nemesis, but if you don't understand why Nemesis is so strong, let me explain. So the win con with Nemesis is the fact that she can heal up, she can stall you, she can do massive damage while doing everything else. You might be coming at me with your queen, you know, the chess queen, but she's like the entire chessboard. If you do damage to her, she can heal up by dashing away, which dashing is a way to run away, and she basically heals up while doing so. She can slow you down with the evade into attack, the Dutch skill. You evade without any direction with Nemesis and then click attack button right away. You shoot 2 special bullets. The red one upon contact will actually make an AoE slow for the enemy. A lot of her charged attack is auto-locked, and her skill is also auto-locked with very little cooldown. And also, the other thing that's basically her win con is her discharge skill. In Arena, she is 6-star. Every character you bring in is max like awaken or what I forgot, max advance I think. So basically 6-star. At 6-star she gets to summon 2 electrodes at a single time. So how do you summon an electrode? You use her discharge skill, right? These 2 electrodes is basically, imagine you're a guy, you're trying to murder a dog. All right, that's pretty bad. You're trying to murder a mosquito. Yes, everybody hates that shit. With 2 pillars helping you, it's like having 2 Michael Jordans clapping the same mosquito for you. That thing's dead. But yeah, the moment you have 2 electrodes out, they do constant damage to the enemy while you still have Nemesis that can slow them, whatever. You have other characters that can still murder them. So she is like the full complete set of every bullshit you can handle, and hence why she's in God. Next character, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you instantly the whole meta comp, the most insane comp, most consistent, highest win rate comp that we have right now that I keep facing. We have the 2 S rank characters, Zero and Coco Ritter. Let's start with Zero. Zero is also a healer, same as Nemesis, but Zero is also a barrier buffer, and that's basically his main job. He'll give you a fat ass barrier, and with barrier it means that it'll protect your HP. It essentially extends your maximum amount of HP, and if they don't get rid of your barrier, they'll never get to your actual HP. And the entire idea with using Zero with Nemesis and Coco Ritter together is you have a barrier, you have 2 healers. They will never actually get you to 0 HP. It is not possible. And also, a lot of people ignore this, but he also has S for weapon charge. This means he can gain weapon charges extremely quickly. So remember when I said Nemesis, you want to use your discharge skill as fast as you can, right? So that's perfect. Zero gets a lot of weapon charges for Nemesis to just bring in the tower. So basically have one more thing dealing damage for the enemy. It's really hard to get through. He also heals up as well. So yeah, imagine Nemesis and him healing up and doing the barrier. It's already disgusting. Next up we have Coco Ritter. This one's also disgusting. Firstly, let's talk about her, you know, role. She's also a healer. So the meta comp is a triple healer comp. Even when the game devs was like, yeah, I think healer's too broken, let's just cut down 50% of the healing effects. So the community, being an absolute chat they're like, what if I just heal more? Creativity 1000. So there goes Coco Ritter. Coco Ritter, with her skill, you can heal a bunch. And of course, her discharge skill also heals you a bunch. So it's a huge heal. And that's only one of her things that she does. She does 2 more things that I think really is just insane. The second thing is same as Zero. She also has S for weapon charges. That means she gains weapon charges really quickly. You can imagine using her, go to Nemesis, go back to Zero, or you know, the other way around. You can start with Zero first, get weapon charges, go back to Nemesis. There you go. You have 2 towers up already. So that's the second reason why I ranked her S. And the third one is also, for me, is the killer. Her control abilities are insane. Let's talk about her most broken control combo, right? Basically, you want to do a couple of normal attacks and instantly do a charged attack. What this does is it drains a lot of your stamina, but this move has a really long range that you don't need to aim for it. It auto aims for you. And as you hit the enemy, they are knocked airborne and then knocked downwards to have a really high chance to be frozen as well. So if you hit the charge attack, it's like saying the enemy is gonna have 2 seconds of not being able to do anything. And if they get frozen, they add another like second or two to that 2 seconds earlier. This gives you a lot of time to heal up because it's continuous healing with all these healers. It also gives you time to switch into Nemesis if you want to and guarantee that you hit them. And if you already have 2 tower of Nemesis up, they'll just shock him to death. By doing all of this, you'll be healing with 3 healers while a guy just keeps on adding that barrier for you. And that, my friends, are the meta. If you want to win a lot, this is probably what you do. And personally for me, I think you want to start out with 0, get the barrier, get the weapon charges, switch to Nemesis, use her skill or whatever, go back to Co-Creator, control the enemy, get weapon charges, go back to Nemesis, rinse and repeat. You'll always be full HP, you always have a barrier, they will always get destroyed. Moving up next, we have Meryl. I'm also going to put Meryl at S. If you have any form of pride in you, you wouldn't go for the triple healer team. I mean, if you want to win, yes, you should do that. But if you play for fun, you want to do actual damage, you can add Meryl into the mix with this meta comp. Meryl is practically the best shield breaker in the game in terms of PvP strictly. In terms of PvE, I would say King is the best shield breaker out there, but Meryl's still not that. Meryl's incredibly strong because for me, her main thing is that she gets the hyper shield or whatever it's called. Basically, she gets to this golden shield state where she is immune to any form of control. You can just hit the enemy no matter what they do. They will not be able to stop you unless they kill you, but they're not going to because you have 2 healers. Meryl's discharge skill into her skill 1, which gives her a long period of hyper shield, is gonna allow you to melt down the enemy shield almost instantly. And the moment their shield broke and they get stunned, that's when you can go ham with Nemesis or whatever. This is what I personally run because I don't have 0. I run Nemesis, Co-Creator, and Meryl. If you have these 3, you can try out starting with Co-Creator, getting the weapon charges, go to Nemesis. As long as they're 2 towers up, you're good. Go back to Co-Creator, try and freeze them, break their shield with Meryl the moment you get the chance to, and that usually should get you the win. Next character, we have King. Now this was a bit controversial because a lot of people got King because they heard he's good, but some people really misunderstands this. He is really insane in PvE, not quite so PvP. So for me, he is A ranked at the current state of the meta, which is like 4 or 5 days into the game. Not quite so long, so I might be wrong. So King is essentially your shield breaker. That's, you know, he does his job, he shield breaks. He also does a good amount of DPS, so for me, it's just a damage healer that can shield break as well. But I would say it feels like Meryl can shield break a lot better because Meryl herself gets the hyper shield, but King does not. So King can technically still be controlled, you know, all that. So for all that reasons, I feel like he is more of an A tier instead of an S tier. Next off, we have Huma, and for me, Huma's also an S tier. Huma's entire kit consists of like firstly, the one thing that's pretty good for her, I think, it's the fact that she has A shatter and also A weapon charge. So she's pretty balanced. She can pretty much do anything. I would say her DPS is not on the highest end because, you know, it's a sort of a bruiser character. You're supposed to stay there, you know, be a nuisance, tank up damage, and then do some damage on the enemy, not just one-shot them. She also controls the enemy a lot. A lot of knockback stuns, and her skill, or discharge, I forgot if it was her discharge or skill. I think it's discharge. It prevents switching for the enemy, which can be detrimental if you time it perfectly, right? So for me, Huma is also a pretty high tier character, but I would say though, if you want her to really perform insanely, you gotta still have Nemesis, add a 0 or a Co-Creator in there, and then plus Huma or plus Meryl. So basically the most meta stuff right now is still Nemesis plus 0 or Co-Creator. And if you can add both, that's insane. If you can't, you can add Huma, you can add Meryl, you can add King to that mix. They'll do great. Next up, we have Crow. For me, Crow is an A tier character because of how technically not easy it is for him to use. And I don't really have him, so I really can't comment too much, but I will say the fact that he has hyper shield in one of his skills and the fact that he can do a lot of backstab damage, and I would say his bread and butter is the way you want to use the aerial attack. I'm not using him too much to really make a guide or something, but maybe one day if I get him, I'll try him out. But just know if you have Crow, he's a decent DPS that can, you know, deal an insane amount of damage. Don't expect him to soak out damage or heal up. He's not doing that, but he can melt down enemies' HP insanely fast if you know what you're doing. So for all that reason, he's an A tier character for me. So you start to see a pattern here. The less skill that you need, the higher the character is up there. Next up is Samir, and I'm gonna put Samir at around A as well. Not quite so S. I'm tempted to put her at B, but it's gonna piss people off. So let's put her A. Let's put her A. It's like a low A's though. Her ability to do the helicopter is actually really good against a bunch of enemies. Her DPS is probably the highest if you're facing a bunch of enemies because you can just fly up and do way too much damage for anyone else to really, like, you know, keep up with her. But in PvP situation, you're 1 versus 1, so she isn't really that insane. You can do the helicopter, but good players will just zip up to you, you know, knock you down, whatever the case is. It's hard for you. And honestly, grapple as well. If they bring grapple in as their relic, they can just zip up to you instantly. Her charge attack is good DPS, but with how nimble and how small the enemy is in PvP, you can rarely really hit them. But her DPS is still solid. So for all that reasons, I'll put her at A. And against some worse players, you can just zip up, do the helicopter. They'll have no idea what to do, which as you climb higher, there are gonna be people who knows what to do. So for all that reason, Samir, for me, it's an A character. Next up, I'm gonna have Chakram of the Seas. Why do I name it Chakram of the Seas? It's Shiro. But yeah, Shiro, it's a B. Unfortunately for Shiro, I've never met a single one. That's how out of meta she is. And honestly, with her skill, she's not the one that's gonna do the most damage. You know, Crow and Samir probably does more. And she's not the one that can really control the enemy way too well. So all in all, she's just in a pretty weird position, really. Yeah, for all that reasons, she's probably a B character. You probably wouldn't want to use her if you want to climb high in PvP. And next character for me, Tsubasa, it's an A tier character for me, just for me. And she's like the perfect A. She's not low A, not high A. It's the perfect A. She's an archer, so you can play at extremely long ranges. And her skills can actually control the enemy pretty well, because the further you are away, the more the enemy wants to close in on you if, you know, they're feeling pressured. This is when you can use Tsubasa's skills to like just fire some arrows that actually has knockback effects. She also has a skill that you can just do, and arrows from the skies, it has chances to freeze as well. If you freeze them, they'll be stalled. It's pretty cool, and her DPS is pretty nice because of how single target she is. Yeah, for all of that, I would say Tsubasa's at A. Next up, we go to the SRs. With the SRs, I won't say too much, but there are some that are worth mentioning. Firstly though, this girl, Dominator, Terminator, something like that, she's an absolute C for me. Never seen anyone use her. I've used her in PvE. It sucks. So just having to hold the gun and keep aiming. It's hard enough to hit PvE characters. You're not gonna hit PvP characters. Her skill is literally turning herself into a turret where you can be hit pretty easily. So yeah, nothing really much to her kit. It's not at all too good for me for PvP. Right, next off, we have Echo. For me, Echo's a B. The only reason she's B because there's no way I'm gonna rank her at the same spot as King. So as a fellow Shatterer of Shields, King destroys her, right? But she's actually okay. If you don't have King, you don't have any Shatterer, she can be your Shatterer. And here's the thing though, her discharge skill is actually very handy. Her discharge skill basically fires a lance, and it's like really huge range, and you can rarely ever evade that. It's a really quick lance. So it's good to catch enemy off guard, and she also has an advantage where if you do a dodge in any direction into an attack, you get to stun them for 0.5 seconds, but because you're a 6-star, you'll do it for 1 second. So you can utilize the stun to switch over to other characters, use your skill like Meryl or something. Depends on you, but she gives you a window. So for all that reason, she's B. Next up, we have a Nightingale's Feather. One thing I realized though is that I don't really name, like, I should just call them by their names, not their whatever Nightingale's Feather, but I don't know what your name is, so whatever. His skill has like a really short cooldown. It's like 12 seconds. It's pretty quick. He's also really fast at gaining weapon charges with a low skill cooldown. And with the skill, you can actually gain a dodge charge. So like, you know how you can only evade 3 times at a time? You can actually gain it back by using his skill or by spamming his normal attack. So, and then is he a girl? Next up, we have the Pummeler. The Pummeler, I'm gonna put it at the high B's, which, I mean, you don't get to see it, but I'm not gonna rank it at A though. I'm gonna put it in B because she actually has quite a lot of things going on her kit. And her kit has some sort of like control, which, you know, it essentially knocks you down or like stuns you for a bit. The moment a character does that, they have some value. I've heard people using her with Nemesis with Coco Ritter, where Coco Ritter would freeze you and then Pummeler would stun you perfectly, and then Nemesis will do Nemesis stuff. It's also a pretty tough comp to get through. And finally, we have Pepper. She's basically a Coco Ritter that does a bit less, but she does decently. She doesn't have the insane amount of control that Coco Ritter brings, and I'm actually going to rank her at A. But hear me out. This will probably piss some people off. There's not that much healer in the game, right? There's only a couple SSRs that's the healer, and the SR option for healer, you only get Pepper. So Pepper in a team where Nemesis and Coco Ritter are in is pretty damn good. You know, she heals up. She's basically a Coco Ritter. She gets weapon charges for you as well. Not as fast as Coco Ritter can, but she can do it. Now, if you don't have any form of SSRs, she's the only healer that you're allowed to have access to. So you kind of still need her. That's why I put her at A, because she's the only healer option if you don't have any healer. And you, in PvP, need a healer, or else you'll die instantly to any stall comps. They just have to touch your HP once and just wait, and you're done. So for all that, Pepper, it's a nature character. You can try using her if you don't have any other healing options. And so that is all for my PvP tier list, and I'm going to showcase all these units. I'm gonna try them out. I love the game. I love it absolutely insanely. I'm addicted. It's like drugs. It's insane. I'm gonna try every one of these heroes out. I'm gonna make videos on them, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy those. And of course, hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and take care.